center. Nose move in.
Okay.
Oh, you camcord it.
Yeah, so you can actually talk. The reason I'm going to probably have to do it again is because I think we're going to get a lot of background noise.
Yeah. Well, this is the replacement pylon assembly, the Locomotive 100. It's made out of red oak. All the red oak is original dimension, 2x6, actual 2x6. At this point, there are approximately 40 hours of labor in the cutting, finishing, and assembly. Everything has been dry fit. It can't be completely attached as we need to slide the wheel trucks back underneath the car.
What about these older looking pieces? How did you use them? And
well, the older looking pieces are the original pieces that were left when the locomotive was acquired by the Seashore Trolley Museum. That's an original quarter piece. It's approximately 100 years old. We don't know for certain if it was attached the day it was made or if it's a replacement itself. As you can see, the bolts go through into a piece of angle iron behind it. Again, oak, screwed, bolted, attached. This is the replacement assembly right here in the corner.
Well, how did you, about how many of these old pieces were there?
There's approximately half a dozen pieces that were left of the assembly as acquired.
Well,
and there were numerous photos that were available. So working with these remaining pieces and then the photos, we were able to take the measurements, extrapolate the different angles of the dangles, cut things to size, and put it in place.
Okay. The whole cab for 100 is sheathed, well, it's framed with ash, and then all the posts are covered with this slightly over 3/4 inch thick poplar. A lot of it had gotten banged up and in a few places had rotted away. So what Jim Mackle has done is substituted new poplar, milled to the shape of the original, including very careful fitting in this little piece right here. And then that will go over, we'll nail it down to everything. A lot of the holes in the back here for the nails had gotten enlarged, apparently due to the motion of the cab and also in our pulling things out when we took it apart. So he's filled them carefully, and then this will get tacked on here. And that will be covered up, obviously, when we put the pieces on. A little bit of rot right here. I think Jim is still going to figure out how to patch that in there. But generally, the cab was in pretty good shape, even though it looked pretty bad because it had so much paint on it. Over here, a little bit of rot right in here. This will either be done with epoxy or chopping, actually putting in some new wood. There you can see we put in new wood, new ash, exactly matching the old. These little spacer blocks just were sitting here, never were nailed. They must have had something to do when Laconia put it together to keep everything spaced apart. This horizontal piece was in pretty bad shape, so I glued it together, but I'm hoping Jim will put some more epoxy in here to make this a little bit solid. If we were going to run this in service, we'd probably say, well, we should replace that, but it's nice to keep as much of the original as we can. Now this post cover, let me see if I can find the old one. This had rotted away, I'll talk to the camera. This had rotted away to this extent, and we had thought we might splice it right here, but Jim decided there was just too much defect here. So he milled a entire new piece, which will go right up under the roof. Now he did an interesting thing. Notice this little crack right here. And that could be opening up more. So he did what they call a Dutchman and put this cross-grain piece here, so that will keep that from splitting anymore. Something that wasn't original, but it certainly is very nicely done. Here's a piece of raw poplar. We had a 16-foot piece from that, which that came. here's the other corner piece. You can see that he has spliced in a corner piece. And this one with a little bit of a problem at the bottom, but that can be taken care of with a filler. Will be fit right very nicely. So this side is fairly close to being ready to be put back together again. Now let's see, is there anything else? This is the number 1 end pilot. The locomotive has 2 ends, and the number 2 end pilot, because of the convenience, he did first. And because the locomotive isn't quite symmetrical, little differences here and there, he didn't exactly make it the same. He has taken and fitted pieces to fit the way this one is coming out. The teeth, as you can see, are going in. They're fitted. They have 2 different angles, and that takes a lot of thinking and a lot of fitting to get them to come out right. These will eventually be rounded off on the corners and or on the edges, I should say, and then the defects will be filled in one way or another. Everything will be painted black so that it won't be as messy looking. Actually, we know this is not the original pilot because the original one has 19 teeth and this one only has 17. And so they must have rebuilt it any number of times. In the wintertime, with ice and stuff between the tracks, this area, I'm sure, was quite vulnerable and must have run into stuff. Not cows, as some people would have thought, but just the ice and snow that you'd find on a wintertime railroad scene most anywhere. This will be test assembled, as you can see right now. It's just got to fit the teeth to the other side. And then after we're absolutely sure that it fits, everything will be primed and painted and then put back together. We may actually fully install this one because the trucks, wheels that is, will come in from the other end and they won't have to roll through here to this far. Whereas on the other end, we've got to be able to get the body high enough and nothing in the way so we can roll the trucks in from that end. So it would be kind of nice to have this all together. I'm told that the reclaimed lumber that we're using came from a factory floor in New Jersey. We had it specified to 2x4 and 2x6, and that's a real 2 and a real 4 and a real 2 and a real 6, rather than what you get now. One thing that we're studying is, you notice how these teeth come down. There's very little room for what they would call a footboard, a place for the brakeman or whoever's going to do the coupling to stand when they were moving around. We were just looking at pictures of this locomotive as it was at the very end in 1949, and it was definitely about another 6-inch piece out here. When it was built, there was nothing, but I think that a 6-inch footboard would be appropriate. So that means this is going to stick way out to here. Adds quite a lot of character to this, and a lot of people are very interested in that. The rail fans kind of enjoy seeing something like that. Push it twice. There you go.
Okay, this is Atlantic Shoreline Engine 100, which is in the process of being restored. The particular piece that we're showing today is the pilot. For those of us who were brought up on John Wayne movies, we'd call it a cow catcher. But it's this triangular object which is on each end of the engine and is designed to serve 2 purposes. One, to keep people from being rolled underneath by accident, and also it provides a step up to the platform. The cab that would sit on the platform is currently undergoing restoration. As you can see from the surviving pieces that we had to work with, there was not much structural integrity left. This right here, this oak tooth right here, is this same tooth that we see right here, only it's approximately 100 years old. And as you can see, it suffers some wear and tear in the process. What we've done is, working from the photographs that are available covering a 100-year span as posted up on the wall, is to reconstruct it as it was in the early part of the 20th century. This is all solid red oak. All of the pieces that attach to the frame are attached with lag bolts. All of the pieces that attach to the metalwork are attached with actual square head bolts. All of the individual teeth, every one of them has to be cut at its own unique angle in order to be restored. This one sticks out a little bit because there's a C-clamp behind it. We're in the last step of finishing this one up. After this dry fit, all of these pieces need to be primed and sealed, and then this end of the car will actually be attached in place. The other end of the car, the wood is cut, it's been dry fit, it will be primed, it can't be attached until the wheels are put back underneath the car. The wheels are also in the process of being restored. As you can see right here, this is a step which allows the operator to get up on the platform. The outside of the step are these two long pieces here, the new pieces, and the inside of the step is in the process, again, of being created and painted.
It has a couple more teeth, doesn't it, in there?
Yes, there are 3 short teeth that extend from the bottom of the step down to the triangular framework to provide additional strength and rigidity. At this point, between the two ends, there's approximately 60 hours of labor that's involved.
And that was all volunteer, wasn't it?
And it's all volunteer work. Yep, labor of love, a lot of fun.
Now, didn't you have some other pieces that gave us the dimension down in front so we could figure out what size it was?
We had several pieces, let's call them stray pieces like this, and then we had the remnants of the triangle from one end to form the base support. Once we had the dimensions of that triangle, we could extrapolate the length of the teeth, because we knew that it was attached solidly to the frame. We have the frame piece, so each of these individual teeth, as I say, has been cut individually, fine-tuned individually, and I'm sure as we go to officially and finally attach them in place, there's probably going to be a little bit more tweaking involved. It's an ongoing process.
Now, was this the only style they had, or were they different over the period of the locomotive being operated?
This particular one was one of a group that was purchased in the very early 20th century. Almost immediately they began modifying them, making changes. This particular car, number 100, as far as we can determine, is the only one that had no significant alterations. There were cosmetic changes, there were paint changes, there were replacements made as things fell off or were damaged. But generally speaking, it's nearly in its original condition, and it's being restored to that original condition.
Show a little bit from a different angle here. You gotta get way back.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, there'd be 20 teeth, because it looks like this one in the center is a double.
I think we can see that better on the picture over here. They look a little, right here, they look a little thinner on that
Yes. Yeah, this would appear to be ordinary dimensional lumber instead of the 2-inch thick material that we're working with.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't stand up.
That would be my guess.